Hey everyone, welcome back. So, if you are a fresher or that may be an experienced one and you are waiting for your Power BI interview, then you have arrived into the exact place. Because in this video, we are going to cover all those commonly asked Power BI interview questions along with answers which will definitely help you to crack the Power BI interview. Okay, so let's start from the basic one. So let's start. Okay, so the first question is, what is Power BI? So what is Power BI? Power BI is a data analytics tool which is provided by the Microsoft with the help of which we analyze our data and create different interactive and attractive visualizations, charts, report, dashboard for the client or for the end users. Okay, so in short, what is Power BI? Power BI is nothing but it's a data analytics tool with the help of which we analyze our data. Okay, so let's move to the second questions. So why Power BI? That means why we have chosen Power BI as our BI tools. There are so many different reasons are there behind this. Okay, but I have noted some of them. Okay, so let's see what are all those points. So the first point is Power BI is one of the most powerful BI tools in the market right now. Okay, in the market there are so many different BI tools are there like Power BI, Tableau, SAS, ClickView, Google Data Studio. All these BI tools are there in the market, but as compared to those BI tools, Power BI is one of the most powerful BI tools right now. That's why we have chosen Power BI as our BI tools. Okay, then the next point is it is easy to connect your data. It means we can connect our data easily with the help of Power BI and we can create different interactive and attractive visualizations from those data. Okay, and apart from that we have unlimited connectivity. With the help of Power BI we can connect unlimited different data sources at a time and we can create different visualizations. Okay, and then the next point is it is easy to learn as compared to the other BI tools. Power BI, learning of the Power BI is very easy. Okay, then sharing of the report is easy as compared to the others. It means the report that we will generate from the Power BI is easy for us to share with the end user or the other peoples. Okay, but in other BI tools like SAS, ClickView, Google Data Studio, it's little bit difficult as compared to the Power BI. Okay, then the last point says it contains many types of custom visualizations. In Power BI, we have nearly about more than 500 plus different visualizations or charts are there in the marketplace from where we can easily import those visualizations to Power BI desktop and create different interactive and attractive visualizations. So it is one of the most important reasons why we should choose Power BI, right? Because in other BI tools we don't have that facility. We can create nearly about 20, 30, 35 or more, maximum 50 visualizations, but in Power BI we have by default more than 500 plus charts are there in the marketplace from where we can directly import and create the charts and the visualizations. Okay, so these are the few reasons why we should choose Power BI. Okay, so let's move to the next questions. What are the different types of data type are there in Power BI? So in Power BI we have divided the entire data types into 6 different groups. Okay, and those are number data type, text data type, boolean data type, date data type, date time, and geographical. Remember, I'm saying it as the group, right? 6 different groups. It means inside the groups we have so many different types of data type as well. Like in number data type group, we have 3 different types of data type are there, and those are decimal number, fixed decimal number, and whole number. These are 3 different types of data type comes under the number data type. Okay, Like this, inside the text data type, boolean data type, date data types, date times, and geographical data types contain so many different types of data type as well. Okay. So in short, if anyone asks what are the different types of data types are there in Power BI, then you can say we have so many different types of data types are there in Power BI, but for our convenience, we have subdivided into 6 different groups, and those are number data type, text data type, boolean data type, date data type, date time, and geographical. Okay, so let's move to the next question. What are the different components are there in Power BI? So in Power BI, we have 6 different types of components are there, and those are Power Query, Power Pivot, Power View, Power BI Desktop, Power Map, and Power BI Service. Okay. So what is Power Query? Most of the time, whenever we will get the data from the end user or the client, most of the time we get those data are in unclean format, right? So to clean the data, we use Power Query because our analysis is done on the only on the clean data, right? So anyhow we have to clean on those unclean data, right? So to cleaning all those unclean data to clean format, we usually take the help of Power Query. Okay. Then next is Power Pivot. So in Power Pivot, we do the modeling part. Modeling part means so whenever we will get the data from the end user or the client, it is in the tabular format, right? So to create the visualizations, we have to do the modeling part. It means we have to create the relationship between all those tables. Then only we can do our analysis, right? And that relationship is done with the help of primary key and foreign key concept. So this is called as a data modeling. Okay, creating relationship between different tables. Okay, so this modeling part is done with the help of Power Pivot. All right, then next is Power View. So Power View is used to visualize our data in the chart and the graphical format. Okay, then the next is Power BI Desktop. So Power BI Desktop is a free desktop application that can be installed on your own computer. Okay. So next is Power Map. So Power Map is used to represent your geographical data in map format. Okay. And the last is Power BI Service. So with the help of Power BI Service, we publish our report, whatever report we have created in Power BI Desktop, we publish that report to the powerbi.com or the to the Power BI server. Okay, so basically Power BI service is used to publish our report to the Power BI server. Okay, so let's move to the next questions. So what is the difference between Power Query and Power Pivot? So what is Power Query? Most of the time when we will get the data from our client, we expect those data are in unclean format, right? So to do the analysis on those data, first of all, we have to clean those data. And that cleaning part is done with the help of Power Query. Okay. And what is Power Pivot? Power Pivot is mostly used for data modeling. Okay, what is data modeling? Data modeling means whenever we will get the data from the client, those are in tabular format, right? So we have to create the relationship between those tables using primary key and foreign key concept. Then only we can get the actual analysis from that, right? So we have to create the relationship between those tables, and that is known as data modeling, and that data modeling is done with the help of Power Pivot in Power BI. Okay, apart from that, in Power Query we use the M function, whereas in Power Pivot we use the DAX function. Okay, so in Power Query we use the M functions, right? So the functions, it means M functions are heavier one, it means it take more memory. Okay, whereas the DAX function is lightweight functions, it doesn't take more space, it is completely lightweight. So most probably we expect to use the DAX functions as compared to M functions. Okay, so these are three differences between the Power Query and Power Pivot. Alright, then let's move to the next question. What is DAX function? Whenever we are using any functions inside the Power Pivot, it's simply called as the DAX function. That is data analytics expression. DAX means data analytics expression. Okay, and data analytics expression is used for creating expression and formulas. So why we use the DAX? DAX is basically used to create the expression and formulas in Power BI. Okay, and we have subdivided the DAX function into 6 different categories, and those are aggregation function, counting function, logical function, information function, text function, and date function. Okay, then the next question is, give me some example of DAX function. So in Power BI there are more than 500 plus DAX functions are there, and we have noted down some of the most important and commonly used DAX functions here, and those are average functions, count function, max function, mean function, sum, sumx, top n, add column, accept, group by, lower, replace, round, day, month, year, count x, count a, so many DAX functions are there. Okay, so you can refer those in the Google as well. Okay, so these are some of the mostly common used DAX function. Okay, then the next question is, what is incremental refresh in Power BI? So incremental refresh will allow you to refresh only newly added data. Normally, when we click on the refresh on Power BI, it will load everything. And if you have a big table, it will take long time to refresh, right? So we don't want that. We just want to load the newly added data in the existing data, right? And how we can do that? That is possible with the help of incremental refresh only. Okay, and with the help of incremental refresh you can improve the speed of refresh, right? Because you will add the newly added data only, not the entire data, right? So you can improve the speed of the refresh for long table by using the incremental refresh. This setting will apply once you have published a report to the Power BI server. Okay, only after you publish the report to the Power BI server you can use this incremental refresh. Okay, and remember, incremental refresh will be activated once you have published the report to the Power BI server only. Without publishing the report in the Power BI server, you can't get the options of incremental refresh. Okay, so incremental refresh will allow you to refresh only newly added data in the existing data. So let's move to the next question. What is the difference between the dashboard and report in Power BI? So what is Power BI report? Power BI report is the combination of multiple visual elements, that is chart, text, values, etc. on a page, and that can be interrelated with each other, right? And Power BI report is created using Power BI desktop. Whereas in case of Power BI dashboard, Power BI dashboard are the business key value that can change the business profit and can be glanced at one screen, and Power BI dashboard cannot be created on Power BI desktop level. To create the Power BI dashboard, first of all we have to publish our Power BI report to the Power BI server. After that, in Power BI server we can create the Power BI dashboard only, right? Then the next point is, Power BI report is fully interactive for users and it can be filtered based on some criteria. Okay, and on the other hand, data visualized in the report can be sliced and diced with the slicer in Power BI report. Okay, but in case of Power BI dashboard, we can't sliced and diced with the help of slicer. Okay, so these are the two main difference between the Power BI report and Power BI dashboard. Alright, Then let's move to the next question and see what is this. What is core function? Core is a correlation function that provides a correlation between two distinct values ranging from -1 to 1. Okay, that is called as the core function in Power BI. Alright. Then the next question is how to group different columns in a dataset in Power BI. So it can be achieved using the DAX function, that is summarize function, right? So summarize is a DAX function with the help of which we can group different columns in a dataset in Power BI. Okay. So let's move to the next question. What is the difference between the sum function and the sum_x DAX function in Power BI? So in case of sum_DAX function, it takes the data of a column and aggregate it and will give the result in the total form. Okay, so it returns the scalar value, that is a single aggregate value. Whereas in case of sum_x DAX function, it returns the sum of an expression evaluation for each row in a table, and it also returns the scalar value, that is a single aggregate value like sum_DAX function. So these 2 points are the common between sum_DAX function and the sum_x DAX function. Okay, so what is the difference between both of them? So in case of sum_DAX function, it work at the columnar level, whereas in case of sum_x, it work on the row level. Okay, sum_DAX function do not take any expression, it only take the column name. That is, first of all you have to write the sum, and inside the bracket you have to give the column name. So what it will do, sum_DAX function will take the data from that particular column and make the total and give a scalar value, that is a single aggregate value. Okay, but in case of sum_x DAX function, you have to keep the expression inside that function, right? So first of all it will take the table name, and after that you have to give the expression to calculate the sum_x. Okay, so these are the main difference between the sum and the sum_x DAX function. Okay, so let's move to the next question. What is data alerts or data driven alerts in Power BI? So alert work on data when it is refreshed. It means when data is refreshed in Power BI, it looks for an alert, and if it reaches the alert threshold or the limit that we have been set, then a alert message will be triggered automatically to the users through mail or through a message. Okay, and this is called as a data driven alerts in Power BI. Alright, so remember one thing, data driven alert can be set only in the Power BI dashboard. It means whenever we will create a dashboard in the Power BI server, on that only we can apply these data driven alerts. Okay, and how can we do that? First of all, you have to go to the manage alert, then you have to add the rules on that by giving the conditions over there. Okay, so how it will work? Whenever our data source will refresh, at that time the data driven alerts will check whether our data has been reached the alert threshold or not, and if it reaches the alert threshold or the limit that we have been set, then the message that we have been given, that message will be automatically triggered to the user by mail or by a pop-up message. Okay, so in this way data driven alerts work on Power BI. Alright, so let's move to the next question. What is data source filter in Power BI? So data source filter is a parameter to filter the data before loading into the machine. So if we want to filter our data before loading into the machine, then we have to use the data source filter on that. Okay, so let's move to the next question. What is the difference between the distinct DAX function and the values DAX function? So remember, both the distinct and the values DAX function are same, but only difference is that distinct DAX function calculate the null values, whereas values DAX function will not calculate the null values. Okay, so let's move to the next question. What is the difference between the filter and slicer in Power BI? So the difference between these two is by using the normal filters, user cannot interact with the report. Okay, but with the help of slicer, user can have interaction with the report in Power BI desktop. Alright, and apart from that, remember one thing, slicer is also a kind of filter, but a filter will never be a kind of slicer. Alright, it means slicer is also a kind of filter, but not vice versa. Okay, so let's move to the next question. What is what if parameter in Power BI? So when we want to see the visual based on scenario, the best way is to use the what if parameter. Okay, it could help us for forecasting the data and for advanced analytics. Alright, for example, if we set up the discount of the product using what if parameter from 1 to 20, then user can change the value that is in between 1 to 20, that is 2, 4, 7, 8 like this, and can see the changes in sales, profit margin, revenue, etc., which will help us for detailed analytics. Okay. Let's move to the next question. What is content pack in Power BI? So content pack is nothing but it's a like of zip file, right? Zip file, what is zip file? Inside the zip file we will put so many different data, right? Like that, in content pack in Power BI we told that zip file as the content pack. Okay, and inside the content pack we put the dashboard, report, and the relevant database which can be shared across to the client. It means if we are creating a dashboard, right? So to creating the dashboard, first of all we have to create the report, right? And we need the data source as well. So whenever at the end we send that report or the dashboard to the client, at that time what we have to do, we have to make a content pack. Okay, and inside that we have to put that report and the relevant data source, relevant database and the dashboard at one place, and by making that like the zip file in Power BI, we use the content pack and send that content pack to the client. Okay, so content pack is nothing but it's a zip file where we put the dashboard, report, and the relevant database. Okay, and we send it to the client. Alright, so let's move to the next question. What is embedded code in Power BI? So there is a option in Power BI which will generate a link address for the Power BI dashboard, right? And that link can be shared across to the client, and apart from that the web developer can also link that code in their HTML tag, right? So insert embedded code is nothing but it's a link address of your Power BI dashboard which can be shared to the client, right? Then the next question is, what is the language used in Power Query Editor? So the language that is used in Power Query Editor is M language, and M language is case sensitive. Okay, so let's move to the next question. What is filter function in Power BI? So filter function is a function which allows you to manipulate, it means to change the data to create the dynamic calculation in Power BI. That's called as the filter function. Okay, so let's move to the next question. What are the different types of filters in Power BI? So basically in Power BI there are 4 different levels of filters are there, and those are visual level filters, page level filter, report level filter, and drill through. Okay, so where we use the visual level filter to filter the data within a single visualization, we use the visual level filter. Okay, and for filter the data within a particular page in the report, then at that case we use the page level filters. Okay, and the next is report level filters. So to filter the data within all the visualizations and all the pages in that report, we use the report level filter. Okay, and the last is drill through. Alright, so these are the 4 different types of filters that we can use in Power BI. Alright, let's move to the next question. What is row level security in Power BI? So, row level security restricts the users to view and access the data based on some filters. Okay, it means suppose if we have created a dashboard for a particular organization, okay, for example Mindtree, okay, and it has different departments, right, like finance department, HR department, marketing department, right? And if we have created a dashboard for all these departments, and if we want the finance people can see only the data related to the finance, the HR people can see only related to the data of that HR part, okay, and the marketing people can see the data which are related to the marketing part, okay. So if we want to restrict the data as per the users, as per the department, right, so in that case we use the row level security in Power BI, okay. And the most important thing is that to enable row level security, a Power BI Pro subscription account is essential, okay. Without this you can't apply this row level security in Power BI, okay. Then let's move to the next question. What is Power BI Gateway? So when we move our data from on-premises data source to the cloud environment, it needs Power BI Gateway. To move the data from on-premises data source to the cloud environment securely. So the main use of the gateway is to move the data from on-premises data source to the cloud environment securely, right? So when we connect our Power BI desktop with our on-premises data source, and if we do any update in our data, then we have to click on the refresh button, right? So automatically it will refresh in Power BI desktop, and as per the data it will give us the report view, right? But when we publish our report to powerbi.com or the Power BI server, and if we will click on the scheduler option or the refresh option, it will automatically ask to download the gateway, right? Because here in this case the gateway will move the data from on-premises data source to the cloud environment securely, right? So to provide the security we have to download the Power BI gateway. So the main use of the Power BI gateway is to move the data from on-premises data source to the cloud environment securely, okay. And the most important thing is that if our data source is in the cloud environment already, then we do not need any Power BI gateway. Why? Because in this scenario we are not taking the data from on-premises data source to cloud. We are directly dealing with the data which is available in the cloud already, right? So in this case we do not need the Power BI gateway, okay. So I hope you can understand what is Power BI gateway, right? Alright, so let's move to the next question. What is slicer in Power BI? So slicer is one canvas visual filter in Power BI which allow users to filter the data by clicking on the type of data you want. Alright, then let's move to the next question. So what is Power BI service? Power BI service is a cloud-based service which will help us to publish the Power BI report in the Power BI server, okay. It means developer will develop the report using Power BI desktop, right? And at the end we have to share that report or the dashboard with the client, right? So how can we do that? For that we have to publish the report in the Power BI server, right? And the activity of publishing the Power BI report to the Power BI server is done with the help of Power BI service. So basically Power BI service is a cloud-based service which will allow us to publish the Power BI report to the Power BI server. Alright, then let's move to the next question. Can I export the Power BI report data into any other format like SSRS? It means, can we export the Power BI report data into any other format like Word, Excel, PDF or CSV? So the answer is no. We can't export the data of each and every component of the report at a time in CSV format or in Excel format. Okay, but yes, we can export the data of a single component or a single visualization at a time in CSV format or in Excel or in Word format. Okay. Then the next question is, what is the difference between the measure and calculated column in Power BI? So, measure is a calculated value, whereas calculated column is a calculated field. Okay. Measure work on the columnar level, whereas calculated column work on row level. Okay. Measure is suitable for the numerical value only, whereas in calculated column you can create a calculated column for both the numerical and non-numerical columns. In case of measure, it will not take any space until it has been used. Okay, whereas calculated column will take space when it will be created. Once it will be created, it will start taking the space. Okay, but measure will not take space till and until it has been in used. Then the next question is, what is the difference between group by and summarized function in Power BI? So basically, the main use of this group by and summarize function is to extract the data from the table. Okay, these both functions are used to extract the data from the table. Okay, so here I have written, in case of group by, it is used to extract the data from the table, and in case of summarize function as well, it is used to extract the data from the table. Okay, so the main use of these two DAX function is same, but in case of group by, you can't do implicit calculation, whereas with the help of summarize function, you can do implicit calculation. Then the next point is, group by DAX function must use current group function, whereas in case of summarize function, you do not need to use any other helping function inside the summarize function. Okay. So these are the few differences between the group by and summarize DAX function in Power BI. So the question is, can you please explain the steps that you usually follow to publish the Power BI report? So the answer is, to publish the report, first of all we have to create our report in Power BI desktop. Then we have to save our report before publishing. And after that, the most important thing is that we have to log in into our Power BI account in Power BI desktop by clicking on the sign in option. Alright. And after that, click on this publish button, or you can go to file and then go to publish button and click on it. Then it will ask for the destination where you want to publish the report. It means in which workplace you want to publish your report. By default, it is my workspace, but if you want to create one new workplace, then log in into your Power BI account by Google, then go to my workplace and create a new one. Then come to Power BI desktop and click on the publish button. Then it will reflect the new workspace that you have created. Okay, then click on it, then select that workspace, then click on enter, and after that the report will be published into the Power BI server. Okay, so in this way we publish the report that we have created in Power BI desktop on Power BI server. Okay, then the next question is, can you please explain the steps that you usually follow to create a dashboard in Power BI? So the answer is, usually we create a Power BI dashboard in the server level, not in the Power BI desktop level, right? So to create a dashboard, first of all we have to publish our report in the server, and once we publish it in the server, just click on the report that we have published, then move your pointer on the different charts of the report. You will see a pin icon on each wizard.
So first decide to which chart you want to add in your dashboard. Then click on the pin icon of the wizard and add it in the dashboard. So if you don't have any dashboard before, then create a new dashboard and add that chart or wizard to that particular dashboard, okay, by clicking on the pin icon. Alright, so in this way we create a dashboard in Power BI, right? Then the next question is how you share the Power BI dashboard with other team members or with the client. Can you please explain with that? So the answer is, after creating the dashboard in the server level, we will get a share option on the top bar of the page. Just click on that icon and add the email over there with whom you want to share that particular report. Or you can click on the file option and export the report in Power BI, or you can click on the file option and export the report in PBIX format, or that may be in PowerPoint, PDF, print, or you can publish it in the web by the URL as well, and you can easily share it with any other. Okay, so in this way you can share your Power BI dashboard or the report with any of the client or any of the team members. Okay, then the next question arises here is, can you please explain the difference between the Power BI report and Power BI dashboard? So this is one of the most important questions that every interviewer must ask to you during the interview process. Okay, so the difference is that we can create a Power BI dashboard in the server level but not in the desktop level. Okay, this is in case of Power BI dashboard. In the other hand, we can create the Power BI report in the Power BI desktop level. Okay, so this is the first difference between the Power BI dashboard and report. Okay, then the next point is, to create a Power BI dashboard we need only one page, but in case of report we need one or it may be more number of pages. Alright, then the third difference is, filter option is not available on the dashboard level, but in case of report we can do filter on the data. Okay, so this is the third difference. Then the next difference is, in case of dashboard we can set alert message, but in case of report we cannot set any alert message. Then the last difference is, natural level query is available in case of dashboard level but not in the report level, right? So these are the few of the difference between the Power BI dashboard and Power BI report. Okay, then the next question is, once you publish the report in the server level, how you refresh that report? This is also one of the most important questions. Okay, so be careful for this. So the answer is, the report that we have published in the server can be refreshed by two ways. First is manually. So how can you do the refresh of a report manually? Let's see. So to refresh the published report manually, first of all we have to go to My Workspace, then go to the dataset of the published report and click on the refresh icon over there. Then if it is for the first time, then it will ask you for installing the gateway if the dataset contain on-premises data. Okay, then install the gateway and click on the refresh icon again to refresh the report manually. So this is the first option to refresh your report that you have published in the server, right? Then the second process to refresh your published report is by applying the scheduling refresh. So how we can do that? That can be done by go to My Workspace, then click on the dataset of the report where you want to apply the scheduler, then go to the Action tab, then click on the three dots over there and go to the setting. Okay, then click on the scheduled refresh and then keep your data up to date on. Then choose the refresh frequency, that may be daily, weekly or monthly as per your requirement, and then add the time when you want to refresh your report. Then click on apply. Okay, and your schedule refresh is done. So in these two ways we basically refresh our published report in Power BI server. Okay, so these are the two methods to refresh our report that we have published in the Power BI server. Okay, then the next question is how to set alert message in Power BI. So the answer is, to set a alert message in Power BI, first of all go to my workspace, then go to the dashboard that you have created before, because alert message can be set on the dashboard only. Okay, then click on the three dots on the visual in which chart you want to put the alert message in the dashboard. Okay, then click on the manage alert and add the alert rule and write the message, then give the condition and then add the notification frequency and give the tick mark on the send me mail to option, and after that save and close. So what is DAX? DAX is a library. DAX is a library of functions and operators with the help of which we will able to create formulas and expressions in Power BI. Okay, so what is DAX? DAX is nothing but it's a library of functions and operators with the help of which we will create different formulas and expression for Power BI. Okay, so basically when we use this DAX. So DAX is basically used for three things. First is for creating columns, second is for creating tables, and third is for creating measures in Power BI or Excel. Okay.
Then the next question is, how would you rate yourself in DAX? This is one of the most important questions that every interviewer asks to you during the interview process. Okay, so before going to the interview, you must prepare for this one. Alright, so let me give the example how you should give the answer of these questions. Alright, so I can say, yes, this is a very interesting questions and I can rate myself 7 out of 10 in DAX functions. I can't say I know every DAX functions because DAX is a very vast field and it's not easy to remember all the DAX functions at a time. But I know the basic how we can implement the DAX. So whenever it will required, I can check that from Google and implement the DAX in our Power BI report. Okay, so in this way you will give the answer of these questions. Then the next most expected question is, what all DAX functions have you used in your previous project? So before going to the interview, you must prepare for this question as well, because these are the common questions that every Power BI interview asks to you. Okay, so just remember 10 to 15 DAX functions, and not only remember but also you have to understand how those DAX functions work. Okay, because anytime they can cross questions to you on those DAX, right? So be ready for that. Okay, so the expected answer for this question is, yes sir, I have used so many different type of DAX function for my previous project, and those are replace function, round function, calendar, all, calculate, calculate table, format, count, count x, count ax, max, max a, average. All these DAX function I have used whenever it required in my previous project. Okay, so in this way you have to give the answer of this question. Alright, then the next question is, what is the difference between sum and sum x DAX function in Power BI? So the difference is, in case of sum is a aggregate DAX function. So it will work on aggregation mode, okay, which calculate the sum of all numbers in a particular column. Alright. But in case of sum x DAX function, it is a expression based function. It means in this function, we can apply some input or we can pass some parameter for doing the calculation. Okay, so we can say sum x DAX functions is used to return the sum of an expression for each row in a table. Alright, that's why here you can see both in case of sum and sum x DAX function return the scalar value. It means they both return a single value. Okay, but in case of sum DAX function, it work on columnar level, whereas in case of sum x, it work on row level. Alright. In case of sum DAX function, expression are not allowed. But in case of sum x, expression is allowed. It means we can pass parameter or any input in the expression section. Okay. Then here you can see the syntax of the sum DAX function, that is sum then column name of a particular table. Okay. But in case of sum x DAX functions, the syntax is sum x, then you have to pass the table name, then you have to pass the expression name. Okay, so these are the few difference between sum and sum x DAX function in Power BI. Alright, then the next question is, what is the difference between max, max a and max x DAX function in Power BI? Okay, so in case of max DAX function, it returns the largest value in a column or between two scalar expression. Okay, and here is the syntax max, then inside the bracket you have to pass the column name. Alright, or you can also write the different syntax, that is max, and then inside the bracket you have to give the expression 1 comma expression 2. Okay, so this is the example, that is max, then inside the bracket you can pass the salary column of the employee table. So what will be the result for this? It will give the maximum salary of the salary column in employee table, right? And in the other hand, if you will pass two parameter inside the max DAX functions, that is 50 and 100, then it will give you the output as 100, because between these two expressions, that is 50 and 100, the maximum value is 100, correct? So in this way max DAX function work. Alright, on the other hand, it will work with number, text, date data type, but it will not work with boolean data type. So always remember this, max DAX function is not going to work with boolean data type. Alright, and max DAX function work with columnar level. Alright, so these are the few things that you have to understand for max DAX function. Okay, then the next is max a DAX function. So max a DAX functions return the largest value in a column. Alright, and the syntax is max, then inside the bracket you have to pass the column name. Okay, for example max, then salary column of employee table. So it will give the maximum value of the salary column of the employee table as the output, right? And max a DAX function work with number, date and boolean data type, but it is not going to work with text data type. Okay, and in the other hand, max a DAX function also work with columnar level as the max DAX function. Okay, so this is about max a DAX function. Then the next is max x DAX function. So in case of max x DAX functions, it returns the largest value that result from evaluating an expression for each row of a table. Alright, and here you can see the syntax, that is max x, then inside the bracket you have to pass the table name, then comma expression. So here is the example, that is max, then inside the bracket you have to pass the table name, that is emp, okay, and then column name, that is emp. Inside the bracket you have to pass the salary, right? So you can also provide any filters on this or any expression, for example emp salary equal to 1 lakh, right? So in this way you can write a max x DAX function. In the other hand, max x DAX function work with number, text and date data type, but it is not going to work with boolean data type. Alright, and max x DAX functions work with table level. It is not going to work with columnar level. Okay, and we can also declare any filters in maxx functions. Okay, so these are the few difference between maxa and maxx functions in Power BI. All right. Then the next question is, what is the difference between average, average A, and average X text functions in Power BI? So let's start with average. So the average text functions return the average of all the numbers in a particular column. Here you can see the syntax. The syntax is average, and inside the bracket we have to pass the column name. Remember, the column that we are going to pass inside the average DAX functions, it must contain the data related to the numeric. It means the data must be the numeric one. Okay, because average DAX function doesn't support logical and text type of data. And in the other hand, if a particular cell contains the zero value, that also average DAX function include this, but it doesn't support logical values and text type of data. Okay, then let's see about average ADEX function. So average ADEX functions return the average of the values in a particular column, but it can handle the text and non-numeric values as well. As we have seen before, average DAX function doesn't support logical and text type of data, right? But in case of average A, it support the text and non-numeric values as well. And the syntax is average A, and inside the bracket we have to pass the column name, right? So let's see how the average A DAX functions handle the text and non-numeric values. So here you can see the average DAX functions support the logical value. For example, if it is a true, then it consider as 1, and if it is false, then it consider as a 0. And if it is a text value, then also average A considers this as a 0. Okay, apart from that, if it's a empty text, then also average A DAX functions considered is as the 0. Okay, and if it is a non-numeric text, then also average A DAX functions count it as a 0 value. Okay, then the next is average X DAX function. So the average X DAX function is used to calculate the average of a set of expression evaluated over a table. Okay, and here you can see the syntax. The syntax is average X, that is inside the bracket you have to pass two things. One is table name and another thing is expression. Okay, so remember, both the table name and expression arguments are required for average X. Alright, and the another thing is that average X DAX functions follow the same rule as average. You cannot include any non-numeric or null cell here. So this is all about average, average A, and average X DAX functions. Okay. Then the next question is, what is the difference between count, count A, count X, and count AX DAX function in Power BI? Let's understand first about count DAX function. Okay. So count DAX function is used to count the number of cells in a column that contain non-blank values. Alright, that contain non-blank values. It means count DAX functions count the rows of a particular column that contain numbers, dates, and string data type values. It will not take into consideration for those rows which contain blank and boolean data type. Alright, and here you can see the syntax of the count DAX functions is count, then inside the bracket you have to pass the column name, right? So this is about count DAX function. Whereas in case of count A DAX function, count A functions also used to count the number of cells in a column that are not empty. It means count A functions calculate number, text, and boolean, but it will exclude the blank values. Alright, and here is the syntax, that is count A, and inside the bracket you have to pass the column name. Alright, then let's move to the count X DAX function. So count X DAX function is also used to count the number of cells in a particular column that contain numbers, date, or text or string. Okay, but it excludes blank and boolean values. Alright? Whereas in case of count AX DAX functions, it is also used to calculate the number of cells in a particular column, but it take consideration into numbers, text and boolean values, but it also exclude the blank values. Alright? So these are the main difference between count, count A, count X and count AX DAX function. Alright? Then the next question is, what is the difference between group by and summarize DAX function in Power BI? So let me clear you first. Both group by and summarize DAX functions are used to extract the data from a table in Power BI. Alright? But the difference is that in case of group by, the group by DAX functions cannot do implicit calculations. Okay? That's why we take the help of current group function. It means whenever you are using the group by DAX functions to do the implicit calculations, we have to add another functions called as the current group inside the group by function. Okay? But in case of summarized DAX functions can do implicit calculations. So we do not need to use any helping function for executing the summarized DAX function. Okay? So these are the main difference between group by and summarized DAX function in Power BI. Alright? Then the next question is, what is top and DAX function in Power BI? So top and DAX function is basically used to return the top and rows of a specified table. It means suppose we have a table having 100 number of records, and if I just want to see only 5 records from that particular table, so in that case we will use top and DAX functions in Power BI. Okay, so here you can see the syntax of top n, that is top n, and inside the bracket you have to give the n value. It means the number of records you want to see. Okay, here you can see this is the n value. It means this is the first parameter, and for this you have to pass a value on that. It means how many numbers of record you want to see. Okay, and second parameter is table name. Table name means from which table you want to extract those rows. Okay, so and next is order by expression. Okay, so in which order you want to see the data. These are the three parameters that you have to pass in top and DAX functions. First is n value. It means the number of value you or number of records you want to see. Okay, and from which table you want to see, you have to give the name of that particular table here. And third is the order by expression, in which order you want to see the data. Okay, so this is the use of top and DAX function. All right, then the next is all DAX functions. So let's understand when we will use this all DAX function in Power BI. Okay, so basically all DAX function is used to return all the rows in a table or all the values in a column by ignoring any filter that might have been used in that particular table or in that particular column. Okay, so in short, all DAX function is used to remove all the filters from a table or from a column. All right, so where we want to remove all the filters from a particular table or from a column, because sometime when you are doing the calculations, at that time suppose we don't want any filter on that particular table or on that particular column of that table. Okay, so at that time what we have to do, so for that we have to apply all DAX functions. Okay, so when we will apply this all DAX functions in that calculations, it will do, first of all it will remove all the filters from that particular table or from that particular column. Okay, then it will do the calculations on the basis of the entire data of the table, right? So at that place we use the all DAX functions. All right, these functions removes the corresponding filters from the filter context, just as remove filters does. Okay, so the use of all DAX functions and remove filters DAX functions are the same one. Okay, both are used to remove the filter from a particular table or from a column. So here you can see the syntax of the all DAX function. For that, first of all you have to write the all keyword. Okay, then inside the bracket you have to pass column name or the table name from where you want to remove all the filters, right? So this is the use of all DAX function in Power BI. Then the next DAX function is all except DAX function. Okay, so all except DAX function is basically used to remove all the context filter in a table except the filter that have been applied to a specified column. In short, if we have multiple filters in a column and to get a value you want to remove all the filters but you want to keep only one filters in this column. So in that case this function, it means this all except DAX function is more helpful for you. Okay, and here you can see the syntax of this all DAX functions. That is, first of all you have to write the keyword called all except, and inside the bracket you have to pass two things, that is table name and column name, where table name means the table over which all context filters are removed except filter on those columns that are specified in the subsequent argument. Okay, whereas column name means one or more columns that are specified for which context filter must be preserved. And another thing is that remember this all except DAX functions can return an entire table or a table with one or more columns. Okay, so here you can see the example of this all DAX function. Then the next one is all selected DAX functions. So in Power BI, when we want to return all the row in a table or all the values in a column by ignoring any filter that have been applied inside the query but keeping the filters that come from outside. So in this case, the best DAX functions that we have to use is called as the all selected DAX function. Okay, and here you can see the syntax of this all selected DAX functions. That is, first of all you have to write the keyword all selected, and inside the bracket you have to pass a table name or that may be the column name. Okay, from where you want to remove all filters that has been applied within the query. Okay, and the next point is the return type for this all selected DAX function is that may be an entire table or a table with one or more column. Alright, so this is all about all selected DAX function. Okay, then the next is what is calculate DAX function in Power BI. So basically calculate DAX function is used to evaluate an expression in a context modified by the filters. Okay, it means suppose we want to calculate something from a particular table by applying some filters on that. Okay, so in that case we use this calculate DAX functions. Okay, and the return type of this calculate DAX function is a scalar value. Scalar value means it's a single value. Alright, and remember this calculate DAX functions is a very commonly used DAX function in Power BI. Okay, so this is one of the most important DAX function, and here you can see the syntax of this calculate DAX functions. So for that, first of all you have to write the keyword calculate, and inside the bracket you have to pass two things, one is expression and another thing is filter. Okay, so you can apply more number of filters on this calculate DAX functions if you need. Alright, so for example, suppose we have a table called as the orders. Okay, and inside this orders table we have a column called as the cells. So if you want to calculate the total cells of this orders table by applying the filters on region equal to east, it means you want to see the total cells of the orders table where region equal to east, right? So at that time you have to write this calculate DAX functions. So calculate, and inside the bracket you have to write the sum, then you have to pass the column name, then close the bracket, then give the comma, and after that you have to specify the filter, that is region equal to east. Okay, so in this way we can use the calculate DAX function in Power BI. So remember this is one of the most important DAX function. Okay, then the next most important DAX function is calculate table DAX functions. So what is calculate table DAX functions? So as we have already learned about calculate DAX functions, right? So calculate and calculate DAX functions both are completely same. Okay, but the only difference in between these two is in case of calculate DAX functions, it returns a scalar value. It means it returns a single value. Whereas in case of calculate table DAX functions, it returns a entire table. Okay, it returns a table of values. Alright. So here you can see the calculate DAX functions is basically used to evaluate a table expressions in a context, which is modified by the given filters. Okay, suppose we have a table, okay, and in this table we have 100 number of records are there, and in from that table I want to extract another sub table, okay, based on some criteria or by applying some filters on that, right? So in that case we will apply the calculate table DAX functions. So calculate table DAX functions is basically used to extract a sub table from a existing table. Okay, and here you can see the syntax of this calculate table DAX functions, that is calculate table, and inside the bracket you have to pass two things, one is expression and second is filter. Okay, and here you can see the example of this calculate table DAX function. Then the next DAX functions that we are going to learn is calendar DAX functions. Okay, so calendar DAX functions is basically used to create a calendar table in Power BI based on the starting date and ending date provided. It means calendar DAX function is used to create one table, okay, which contain a column date, and inside the date the value is in between the start date and the end date. Okay, so here you can see the syntax of this calendar table. So for this, first of all you have to write this keyword called as the calendar, and inside the bracket you have to pass two things, that is start date and end date. Okay, so for example, if you want to create a table called as the August 2019 calendar table, alright, so for that first of all you have to write the keyword calendar here, okay, and inside the bracket you have to pass two things, that is start date and the end date, right? So in place of start date you have to write the keyword date first, and inside the bracket you have to pass the start date of the August month, right? So this is 1st August 2019. Okay, and after that you have to give the comma, then you have to pass the second argument, that is end date, right? So this is the end date. First of all you have to write the keyword date, then inside that you have to pass the values, that is 31st August 2019. Okay, so what will be the output for this DAX functions? This calendar DAX functions will create one table called as the August 2019 calendar. Okay, and inside that table it will create one column called as the date, and inside that particular date column it will contain the value starting from 1st August 2019 to 31st August 2019. Okay, so remember one thing, this calendar DAX functions return a table with single column, okay, with single column name is the date, right? And it containing a continuous set of dates. The range of the date is from the specified start date that you have applied here to the specified end date. Okay, and also it will include the both the start date and the end date in this particular column. So this is all about the calendar DAX function in Power BI. Okay, then the next DAX function is calendar auto DAX function. Okay, so let me clear you first. The functionality of the calendar DAX function and calendar auto DAX function is completely same. Okay, so the only difference is that in place of calendar DAX functions we have to pass two arguments inside the bracket, one is start date and another is end date, right? But in case of calendar auto DAX functions we do not need to give any parameter inside that. Okay, it will automatically create a calendar table for you which contain a column called as date, and inside the date column the range of the dates is calculated automatically based on the data in the model. It means suppose you have imported one table previously, and inside that table we have a column called as the date, right? So calendar auto DAX function, what it will do, it will automatically go to that particular column which contain the date type of data and figure it out the maximum value and the minimum value from that particular column. Okay, and based on that range it returns a table with a single column named as date. which containing a continuous set of data, and the range of data is calculated automatically based on the data in the model. Okay, so this is the only difference between the calendar and calendar auto DAX functions. Alright, so these are the few commonly asked DAX interview questions that you must know before going to the interview. And apart from this, also you have to Google it out what are the other questions that the interviewer can ask during the Power BI interview. Okay, so all the very best and best of luck for your upcoming interview. Take care, bye bye.